We have 14 years of history where we can identify criminal behavior associated with mosques, associated with Sharia. And if you think about it, Sharia is a political system. It's a kind of government. It tells people all kinds of things in addition to how to pray. It tells them how to enter the mosque. I hate to say this, but I think it tells them how to enter a restroom. There are very, very specific things and very things that relate to the treatment of women and other serious topics. In fact, we have done a presentation, which is on that website, videos are there, about mass murder, jihad, sedition, which means the Constitution of the United States needs to be replaced by Sharia law. That's the Muslim Brotherhood objective. That's called sedition. The U.S. Constitution, Article 6 says we are the law of the land, the Constitution, and anybody that's going to try to replace us with another law is committing a crime. They're supposed to go to jail for a long, long time. It's called sedition. In our conversation on October the 5th here, we talked specifically about no-fault rape as being sanctioned by Sharia. So the government of Sharia says it's okay for the Uber driver in probably was Troy to sexually harass a woman. That's okay. She was a woman. She came out of it was dark. She came out of a restaurant or a place where they may have sold alcohol. She got in the cab gets locked, and she is attacked. And to the extent that that gentleman is Sharia compliant, what he did is not a crime in Sharia. It's a big crime in America. And we have these other examples, including sex with children, child brides. So we've talked about that. These are sanctioned behaviors happening in Michigan, and they're against the law. Well, the law doesn't understand that. We need police, prosecutors, judges, juries to understand Sharia so they can apply this American justice system. In fact, when I watch Law and Order, which we do a lot of at home, I think about Law and Order, how well that show is done. It starts with a crime. You see the crime. Then you watch the investigators try to do forensic work and how long has the person been dead. And then they make a case. But then part of the show is they go to the prosecutor. The prosecutor gives them a hard time. Can we really take the case? They finally go into the courtroom, and you see the dynamics and the rebuttal and the jury's decision. The problem in America and Michigan is we don't have a Sharia crimes unit. That's what we should have, because you have to understand Sharia. So Sharia Crime Stoppers is not about what I'm doing, right, what we're doing. It's about the police that sit for 2 days for 16 hours of training. I was fortunate enough to go to Alabama to sit with 65 policemen, very, very brave people, fully armed, sitting there for 2 days. Their heads are filled with every other crime they have to prosecute, and they have not been trained for 6 years. And they just sit there, and their eyes open up, and they get angry. How could we not know this? And at the end of the 16 days, they get their certificate. They get credit. This is certified training that is accepted as part of their credit to continue to be policemen. They've taken an oath, and now they're trained to do their job fully. That's happening in 150 jurisdictions in 6 states, and we would like to have it happen all over the country. This is the same training that was eliminated by the Obama administration. It is extremely fact-based. This is the bibliography that's handed out to every policeman. It's 9 pages. There's at least 15 references on every page. This is the material upon which the training, the 16-hour training, is based on, and the encouragement is for the police to go and look at it and learn. Again, there's no cost to the training except for travel, and there's absolutely no publicity. So there's no reason for a law enforcement organization to say, well, if we did this, CARE would be all over us. Dawood Walid, the executive director of CARE, would come and knock on our door. That's not going to happen because there's no publicity. This is all word of mouth. All those 150 jurisdictions have had training because a leader in their communities in the police community thought they needed the training. I'm not sure what that was. In Michigan, you need to be registered with MCOLS. If you are registered, if your class is registered with what's called MCOLS, it's the Standards Commission for Law Enforcement, then state funds can be applied to the cost of the training. Well, the only cost is the travel cost. We are fully registered with MCOLS. So if any of you want to have a conversation with your police department, make sure you remind them we are MCOLS registered, and therefore PA 302 funds can be applied to the travel. Okay? We're going to go deeper into the training. I just wanted you to see, on day 1, for 8 hours, the police look at those topics. The jihadist threat, Sharia and women, the Muslim Brotherhood, etc. It provides a deep background, and on the second day, they get into the kind of things that police and detectives need to understand, psychological factors contributing to Muslim violence, etc. And then in the middle of the afternoon, a 2-hour session on mosque, followed by a 2-hour session on radicalization takes place. We're going to fly in about 20 minutes through parts of the mosque presentation, just to give you a flavor for it. So, this is now the police chief's training. I don't know how to turn that off. So, mosque. We've got mosques all over the country. That's Dearborn. There are mosques. That's the one outside of Washington, D.C. There's mosques in Alaska. Yes, there's religious significance. Prayers in mosque are important. Committed Muslim people face Mecca when they pray. Of course, there's a seriousness to that, but there's also some indications we want to be careful about, including separate entrances for women and why women are not equal within a mosque. But we can clearly say that mosques all over the world, and for 1,400 years, have been the center of all Islamic activity. It is a government outpost. If the prayer in the mosque is essential, people are told if they're Muslims, they need to be in the mosque every week. Their prayers apparently are 25 times more important if they're done inside the mosque. And if you want to go to heaven, if you want to go to paradise, you need to go to the mosque. So the mosque is an absolute requirement. Keep in mind, by the way, I think there might be people from the Middle East who come to America who were not overly Sharia compliant when they were in the Middle East. It was, they had all kind of friends. They may or may not have paid. When they come to America, they are more dependent on the imam and the mosque and the language and the connection. So I believe there are people who you could say who are more committed to Sharia compliance and what the imam tells them once they're in America, and certainly their children. Again, remember, we're not assimilating. They commit a crime called apostasy if they assimilate. So if you don't assimilate, part of your connection, your bond to the mosque and the imam is stronger. Beyond the religion aspect, we know that the mosque serves as a cultural center, an educational center, political and social center. It's where, this is a quote, the local mosque serves as a seat of government, a school, a court, a training center. And once they establish a mosque, that land is committed to Islam indefinitely. The Muslim Brotherhood, in their explanatory memoranda that I mentioned, that is committed trial testimony, talked about it as an access for our movement. What is the movement? The movement is the movement of Sharia through whatever means possible to be the law of the land. If they can do it without violence, fine. If they need to do it through infiltration, through civilization, jihad, through political campaigns, through being the governor of Michigan, that's okay too. In that same explanatory memorandum, they talk about a base to educate us, prepare us, and supply our battalions. That's the way they look at the members of the mosque, in addition to being a niche of our prayers. So it's much, much more than a place to pray. So the goal of the Muslim Brotherhood is to have a mosque and an Islamic center in each city, and to basically replay the role of the mosque as it was in the original time of Muhammad. With Muhammad in Medina, the mosques were critical places for military headquarters, campaign planning. The campaign was the attack of adjacent people to move the ball forward, a place to put prisoners if they were allowed to live. We have quotes from very current people that lead the Muslim Brotherhood. This is Kawardawi. In Muhammad's time, the mosque played an important role in encouraging Muslims to wage jihad. Jihad is mass murder. Ayatollah Khomeini had a thing to say, and of course our friend from Turkey as well. So if you look at the first mosque, it met all of these criteria. The first mosque was built in Medina, and they're basically marking territory that has been conquered through battle or through civilization, jihad. So 140 places in Michigan have been conquered. They're not going away. There will be more, and they are conceived to be occupied territory with seats of government. We have 140 seats of government outside of our government existing in Michigan. They symbolize Islamic superiority over non-believers, certainly within the mosque, whether they're extremists or not. They're certainly talking about the non-believers who hate Islam, who want to destroy Islam, that the people in the mosque need to be prepared to eradicate. The process, somebody was telling me tonight about a mosque, a church that was just sold in Syracuse, New York, to a mosque, and the crosses have come down. So this whole notion of converting existing churches and synagogues into mosques, again, 1,400 years.